Hello, and I hope you are having a fantastic day. This is Anka Novakovic with EcoCoach, and today I'm going to be talking about 3 market opportunities that you could take advantage of if you implement sustainability at your organization. So if you've joined me in the past, about 3 or 4 Facebook Lives ago, I listed a whole bunch of reasons why sustainability is something that I believe it, and a lot of companies believe that is really beneficial to your organization. And so I listed all of these different things, and I said, I'll talk about them later. And so in the last Facebook Live, 2 Facebook Lives ago, I talked about kind of some regulatory risks that are that you can avoid when you're implementing sustainability. So certain sustainability projects, obviously. And then I talked about operational risks. And so this time, what I wanted to do was kind of look at market opportunities and market risks that you can have when you're actually implementing sustainability at your organization. And as I've mentioned before, sustainability means so many different things to so many different people. And when I'm referring to sustainability, I'm referring to the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. And so, if you're a small organization, and you're kind of thinking, all right, what can I do to grow my customers? Your market is obviously, I think, for most of you out there, and I think for most of us, is larger than just your customer base right then and there, right? So there are opportunities to get new customers. That's one thing. The other thing is you might be looking at your current customers and thinking, okay, how do I keep them coming back? How do I keep them interested? How do I make sure that I'm the point person, that my competition is not the one who is taking them away with whatever interesting offering that they have? So I wanted to share with you 3 opportunities that I think would really be helpful in that regard. And one is kind of B2C, one is B2B, and then the third one is really kind of both, if you like. And I'm going to be referring, I've said this in other Facebook Lives, is that I'm not really good with remembering data. Like my brain doesn't work that way. I think of kind of like higher concepts, and then I think of details, but not numbers necessarily. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be referring back to some of the data just to make sure that I get the numbers correctly. So one thing is that you'll hear from me over and over again is that consumers in the US and kind of internationally are really looking to purchase from businesses that care, that are taking action, so that care about their employees, that care about the community, that care about the environment, that care about kind of the externalities that they're putting out there. And so when they're looking at a business, they're not just looking at their products, right, or services. They're looking at something more. And as a business, you might be thinking, okay, what else can I offer my customers to make sure that they're coming back? Right? I mentioned that before. One of the things that has been done in the past and is still being done in the present is great customer service. So right now, the expectation has gone up. For most businesses, you're looking at, and consumers want high quality products, and they also want great customer service. So those 2 things are almost kind of expected. And so one of the things that I would suggest that it kind of goes along that and can be an addition, much like customer service, is adding sustainability. You could start with just one facet of sustainability in your organization, so that you also show that your company has certain values that are aligned with those of your customers. Okay, so one of the things that's kind of obvious that I kind of alluded to earlier is when you're implementing sustainability, you can gain new customers, right? You can keep current customers, but you can gain new customers. And what new customers? So we can look at it through the generational lens. And if you're looking at, for example, the millennials, they're the largest living generation, and they really are looking for companies. They're looking to work for companies that care and that take action. They're also looking to buy from companies that take action and that are impactful positively impacting their community and the environment and are getting their staff engaged and excited. So that's one lens that you can look at it, the generational lens, and kind of looking at the largest living generation. The other lens that you could be looking at it through is a values lens, which I alluded to earlier. And you may or may not have heard of the LOHAS, the Lifestyles of Health and Sustainability. It's a demographic that kind of encompasses different generations. So obviously this is a different lens. And they really care, as the name implies, they care about their health, they care about sustainability. They are willing to pay slightly more for products that are sustainable and for services from companies that provide kind of that focus and those values for them. And so the LOHAS is about a 290, again, I'm checking my numbers, was about a $290 billion market. It's kind of 1 in 4 U.S. adults belong to that market in 2010, and since then it's been growing. The other thing that I didn't mention with the millennials is that they represent about 21%, if that's correct, yes, of consumer discretionary purchases. And so that's estimated at over $1 trillion. So if you're looking to gain more of one of those two market shares, and obviously they overlap, but if you're looking to gain more consumers, you're gonna be really well served to think about how to do that with with sustainability, with taking actions that are aligned with the values of your consumers. So that's one thing. The second thing, which I think is B2B, this was, I mentioned that I would talk about 3 examples, and one is B2C, which is new customers. Really, that can be both. The second thing is new products and innovation. So when you have when you're looking at sustainability, you're kind of a lot of times looking at constraints, right? Like, how do I reduce inputs, or how do I reduce natural resources that are going into the products that I'm making? How do I reduce the outputs, like the waste that is going out? So you have more things to look at than you would if you're just kind of spending money and spending, all the resources that you have on packaging or on any of the inputs, or just throwing anything away without really thinking about it, any kind of excess waste from your products or even from some of your services. So one of the things that a lot of companies have found is that sustainability spurs innovation, and sustainability will make you think about your current processes in a different way, your current products in a different way, as well as figuring out new products. And there are a lot of organizations that have identified sustainability as a source of innovation. You have the larger companies, Unilever, you have Coca-Cola, you even have IBM, et cetera, et cetera. So Unilever, their sustainable brands grew 46% faster than the rest of the business and delivered 70% of their turnover growth. So they have developed sustainable brands, they have innovated, they have found new products that work for a different market segment. Okay, GE's Eco-Imagination, which started because GE was getting some negative press, has been doing fantastically. They started in 2005. 10 years later, again, I'm referring to my notes because I don't trust my memory on this. Really what they wanted to do was build more efficient machines, reduce energy, reduce waste, and what have you. They generated over $200 billion in sales in the first 10 years, so from 2005 to 2010. So really you can look at ways, and you're kind of thinking about, all right, how do I spur innovation? Well, you can look at ways, as I mentioned, to reduce the inputs in the business, to reduce the outputs. One place that I would suggest that you start is, ask your colleagues. Some of your colleagues might have ideas that they want to share, but if there's no outlet there's no kind of no one asking them, then they're not going to share them. So ask your colleagues, are there any ideas that you have for new products or for improving our products to make them more sustainable, to reduce packaging, to reduce waste, to reduce the resources if applicable? that are being used as inputs into these products. So that's the second thing. So the first thing that we talked about market opportunities is obviously new customers and growing your customer base. The second one is new products or enhanced products because of innovation, because sustainability spurs innovation. And then the third one, which is really when I mentioned earlier that it would be more B2B, is contracts, new contracts. So the larger companies, again, and you're going to hear this if you listen to my other Facebook Lives, or if you've read my blog post, you're going to hear this over and over again. The larger companies have really adopted sustainability to different degrees. They're not all kind of all in all throughout their operations sustainable environmentally and socially, but they're in that direction, and they're in that direction because it makes business sense. And it makes business sense for smaller organizations as well. And here, I mentioned the larger companies in the context of they're asking their vendors to also become more sustainable, to also kind of look at their energy, look at their waste, look at what products they're using, kind of what percent recyclable materials that they're using, or easily renewable materials and what have you. So if you're a vendor for a large company like Walmart, for example, Walmart has its sustainability index. Walmart is not shy now about kind of asking and putting this on their website, asking their vendors what they're doing around sustainability and stating that they expect their vendors to take actions. And again, I would encourage you to take a look at one of the blogs. I've written a blog that is tied to this Facebook Live on the EcoCoach page. So you can go to eco-coach.com and go to blog, and you'll be able to see this with market opportunities around sustainability. And and I'm referring now to a quote that I wanted to share with you from the CDP, which is formerly the Carbon Disclosure Project, which is that, and this is back to the fact that larger organizations are implementing, not only implementing sustainability, but they're asking their vendors to implement it as well. 115 organizations representing over $3.3 trillion of spend request environmental data from more than 11,500 global suppliers. So that's just these 115 organizations, right? They're large. Those are just the ones that are reporting to the CDP, but there are others that are not doing the CDP, the Carbon Disclosure Project. There are others that are just going with GRI reporting. And in 2010, IBM began asking their 28,000 suppliers to start tracking their environmental data. And on their website, if you go to their website, and again, I have a link to this on the blog, IBM is not shy at being very specific that they expect sustainability, sustainable business practices, in sometimes some organizations use those words and slightly different words, but they're not shy about telling you, this is what we expect. This is what we want you to be doing in order to be able to do business with us. And so if you want a bigger contract, or if you want to even keep your contract with one of these larger companies, you need to start thinking about sustainability. And it really can be an intrinsic part of the way that you do business. And one of the places that I would just start is kind of think about, a sustainability strategy. Do you have one for your organization? And, I'm sorry, not a sustainability strategy, a sustainability policy. Kind of, where do you stand around waste, around energy, around water, around procurement? Some really basic, kind of the basic 4 areas. And where do you want to go, and kind of set some pretty simple goals, but have those in place so you have a stake in the ground, and so you can get started, and so you can also show, and when you have potential contracts for larger customers that are coming down for bidding, you can show, look, we are taking action and we're moving in that direction. And so those are the 3 market opportunities. And if you're just tuning in, we talked about new customers. We talked about the LOHAS, the market segment. We talked about the millennials. We talked about innovation spurring new products, and we talked about a couple of large companies and gave examples of that. And then we also talked about new contracts, especially if you're a B2B and if you're working with a larger company, you're going to be expected to look at sustainability in order to keep those contracts or in order to gain those contracts. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I encourage you to take a look at the EcoCoach website at the blog. So go to www.eco-coach.com. I have written a blog that is similar, that is kind of aligned with this, and that provides links to some of the things that I referred to. I would also encourage you, if you are looking at sustainability, to take a look at our website. We have some free things if you kind of scroll through and some of the blogs. And one of the things that is that I keep referring to as important as a starting point is the sustainability checklist to kind of figure out where you stand and where you want to go. And that is on the homepage of our website. It's www.eco-coach.com, and that's just a free resource for you. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. And here's to your sustainability success. Take care. Bye-bye.